residues. It means that we are getting residues of these same drugs as humans. And what that means is that when we get sick, sometimes we blame our clinicians for not doing a proper job. But they did actually give us the correct drugs. That was a correct diagnosis. But our drugs are failing because we are abusing them. So every year, according to the World Health Organization, about 750,000 people die from illnesses that are associated with antimicrobial resistance. That's a very big number of people that will die because someone somewhere was abusing these drugs. So we all need to be good stewards. So if your chickens have a disease that you're not sure of, please don't ask your neighbor what they used, because some of these diseases actually not there. But if you go to most of these agro shops actually now have veterinarians, so that as you buy these, they guide on the use. So very important. And also when you're treating, if a diagnosis has been correctly made and treatment has been prescribed, please treat for the correct duration of the course of treatment. Don't stop your treatment 2 days or 1 day because your chickens now look better. So continue the treatment until you finish it. Okay, so that's basically about poultry production. So I just touched 3 of the cardinal areas that you should put into consideration as you go about your poultry production. I don't know if there are any questions. Moderator.
Are there any questions? No questions. Okay.
In terms of vaccinating the chickens, what process should you follow through? Say tomorrow will be vaccinating my chickens for Newcastle.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's a very important question. Okay, so it's advisable to administer for at least 3 days before and 3 days after vaccination. It's highly recommended to use what are called vitamin and mineral supplements. Okay, so the common term that people use is stress pack. Yes. So the reason why you're doing that is firstly, those boost the immune system. Some of them contain ingredients that boost up the immune system, like vitamin E, vitamin C. So these are very important for boosting up the immune system. But also, the principle of vaccination is that you are giving something, the vaccine, which will stimulate an immune response. And when an immune response is stimulated, there are antibodies that are produced. So scientific evidence exists that show that chickens that are treated with vitamins and mineral supplements before and after vaccination usually have prolonged levels of antibodies following vaccination. Because when you vaccinate, the first dose is usually what's called a priming dose, and then there's also a booster dose, because these antibodies that are produced when you vaccinate, with time they reduce in numbers. So in an instance where you had an overwhelming exposure to the virus or bacteria that you are vaccinating against, the chickens can succumb. So that means the higher the levels of antibodies following vaccination, the more prolonged the protection from the vaccination is. So you can give 3 days prior to vaccination and 3 days after. You can give these so-called stress packs. It's just basically a blend of vitamins and minerals. Yes, yes.
What's the effect of using pig grower in chicken?
Okay, Yes, so the chicken has a similar stomach to the pig. So that means the ingredients are the same. But because they have different levels of fat and other proportions of proteins and carbohydrates. So you may tend to get, for the chickens, they don't require the same amount of fat as pigs. So when you give your pig grower, yes, it's going to cut down your costs, but then you might end up having chickens with more fat than is required. And one of the effects is that you can get heart failure if you have a lot of fat, especially around the heart. So it impedes, it brings about a circulatory disturbance. Yeah. Any other? Yes, please.
Yes, what is the best time to give vaccines to the chickens?
Okay, so you may have noticed that different hatcheries will follow different vaccination protocols. So we advise that you follow what is recommended by the hatchery. But a rule of thumb is that, because the principle is that you want to vaccinate chickens before the time that they are at more risk. And because it's about the immunity building up, you want by the time, I'll give an example of the Gumboro disease, also one of the most common diseases. So Gumboro is common in chickens that are between 3 to 6 weeks. Okay, so you don't want to vaccinate at 5 weeks or 4 weeks because they would have already reached a time when they're at more risk. So you want to give them, usually Gumboro people give at day 10, your first dose. You can repeat your second dose at day 18 or day 21. And Newcastle, most people would give it at day 14, and you repeat your dose at day 24. But this may change depending on the prevailing circumstances, because we recommend that you vaccinate chickens that are healthy. So that means if you have chickens that are diseased at day 10, okay, and perhaps one of the diseases that you are suspecting is Gumboro, then you don't want to vaccinate at day 10. So such circumstances would warrant a postponement of the vaccination so that you only vaccinate chickens that are healthy. So there's an issue of you following what the hatchery recommends, because those are the people that are giving you those chickens. Okay, I've heard some hatchery recommend that you only do vaccination once. Others would recommend that you do vaccinations twice. But I would recommend that you do it twice regardless, because remember, for starters, treating some of these diseases is very costly, and secondly, these diseases, like the vaccines, are very economical. So it's better you don't take any chances at all. Yeah. Is there another? Okay.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for that explanation. Though I didn't specify the question. The question was supposed to be like, if I am supposed to vaccinate the Newcastle or Gumboro tomorrow, what could be the best time should I vaccinate?
Oh, you mean the best time of the day for vaccinations?
Exactly. Like the guy would ask to say, no, you should bring me Newcastle 02, then I'll vaccinate at 04.
Okay.
Yeah, so is that the appropriate time for the vaccine or what?
Okay, so the principle is this. Most of these live vaccines are very sensitive to temperatures. Okay, so the reason why it's recommended to vaccinate in the morning or late in the evening is because during those periods of the day, the temperatures are usually low. Because if you've bought a vaccine, you would have noticed maybe getting an ice pack. It's because the vaccines have to be kept at a temperature that is between 2 and 8 degrees Celsius. So because these vaccines, the live vaccines especially, are very sensitive to temperature, extreme temperatures, I think in our country you'd rarely get a 1 degree or less, but you are more likely to get very high temperatures. So you want to vaccinate in the morning when it's, or late in the evening when it's cool. Yeah, so vaccinate in the morning, and also just make sure that, because like I said, the temperature thing, also make sure that before you vaccinate for 2 hours or so, withdraw water so that they are thirsty. So that when you put the water that has the vaccine, within a short period of time, they're able to drink. And then you can discard it afterwards. And yeah.
So 04 is okay?
Yeah, 04 is okay.
Okay, alright.
Yeah, as long as you are maintaining the temperature.
Temperature, okay.
Yeah.